let me fix that and go to trading buddies. There we go. Happy days. Yes, as I say, of course, the only game in town, it seems, at the moment is the war. And it makes trading extremely interesting, I've got to say. Throughout the show, you're probably going to hear me saying a lot of, I'm not going to trade this because, rather than I am going to trade this because. And that's part of my nature, which is very, very conservative, of course, me being an old fella. But I think it's also wise to be very, very cautious under these circumstances. Now, many ways to approach this. Well, probably not that many. One is stay out. The other is trade cautiously. And the other would be, in my humble opinion, watch, listen, and do in small doses. That would be the way I'd be approaching it anyway. So let's get into it, shall we? And see exactly what is on offer here. You will, of course, have noted that, somewhat predictably, the markets have gapped all over the place today. And we also had this incredible topsy-turvy scenario where Wednesday, Thursday, we went kabang in one direction, and Thursday into Friday, we went kaboom in the opposite direction with interest. That was the part that stunned me just a little bit. Not so much the fact that we had a bounce, but we went bounce and beyond. Amazing stuff going on. And got to say, Ash is in the room, and I'll bring him in. Great call of Ash's on Thursday to trade the FTSE long. How'd that pan out, mate?
Well, pan out really well.
I would have imagined would have.
This is and I have to say, you know, the market is highly volatile, and you know, there's definitely a slice of good fortune from my account. I traded the FTSE on Wednesday short because it was at resistance, and you know, I didn't know overnight that we were actually going to get an invasion, and that obviously helped the trade immensely. The very next day, we were at support, so you know, there was that kind of factor in. This morning, I think we're at resistance, and I think where it's interesting this morning. Can I quickly show you the chart, because I think there might be a trade this morning. Sure. I mean, I have already taken a trade this morning and taken profit, which means that I may or may not get involved. But I want to tell you my thinking, because overnight, obviously, we had the situation with BP. I don't know if you're aware of that. No. But BP were stakeholders in Russian energy company Rosneft. Now, they have been pressured by the UK government to get rid of their holdings in Rosneft, and that's a huge factor, because you know that is I think going to be. I mean, I might have my numbers wrong, but I think that's going to effectively cost them about 20 million in a loss. Now, BP's a relatively large company, and this is where it becomes quite fascinating in many respects, because the likes of Shell should do well, because oil continues to go higher. We're seeing you know, Brent crude continue to push the highs. WTI continues to push the highs. So oil companies should tend to do quite well. But BP having that exposure and that huge loss could drive BP lower on the open by quite a significant amount. You know, they could be down 10% in the open, 5 to 10% on the open. Wow. Now, because they're such a big company, I think that drives the FTSE down with it, because the others may not have a whole bunch of support. This gap is a bit of an issue, you know, which is I got into a trade early doors this morning here, and I've just got out here because there was a really nice move, but a 40 pip move, which is almost 1%. You know, it's 3/4 of 1% in 5 minutes. That's what it was.
That's what the market's like at the moment, right?
Exactly, and I think there's an opportunity. If this pops up again to this point, you can see the good resistance, nice trend line, nice weekly pivot and monthly pivot resistance point. Pops up again to this point, I'm going to take that short on again. because, as I say, I think this market is doomed or destined for some downside here. So let's see if we get it. We may not. No, it's already on its way down. But and I can tell you, so BP currently down. BP is actually flat, which means that there's probably a whole bunch of stuff about to happen to BP. When that opens, I think BP is still closed. And it's the only one of all the FTSE 100 companies which is at zero. Everything else is either down or in positive territory, very, very slightly.
So but this like market, a trading halt, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. When that opens, I think that is going to going to be a big gap down. Shell is up near 1%, so around at 3/4 of 1%. So Shell is benefiting from the hike in oil price. BP still yet to report. HSBC Holdings, interesting. So the banking sector may suffer here, down near 4% on the open. Lloyd's also down near 4%. Barclays down near 4%. So the banking sector is suffering. Don't know if you heard overnight, 20% rate hike in Russia just to try and encourage people.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, try and get people to put some money into their bank accounts. So if they don't, you know, make it attractive, people are going to hold their money out because of fear, and their banking system could collapse as well. So that's the concern. Now, I think this is interesting. FTSE holds up at this point. BP's still not open. BP is still not open. So does that mean they are taken off the cards today? So my theory is sell the FTSE because BP is going to drag it down a whole bunch. Well, that's not going to work out if BP aren't opening. You know, if that particular stock isn't opening. So now I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I've taken an early trade. I won't be going short unless I see BP open, because it's BP that I think is going to really drive this market lower. In saying that, this is resistance. You know, that's a resistance point. The gap is the problem. You know, you just mentioned the gaps. The gap is a problem. You know, yes, we've got weekly resistance here. We've got monthly pivot here, daily pivot to get through, which is probably going to be an issue. But that gap is an issue, and the markets will not want to go lower until that gap is filled. Now we know gaps can stay open for you know many weeks, or many months, or even years sometimes. But it's not that regular. And, you know, normally it will try and close the gap. So resistance right now comes at the low end of the gap and the high, the low end of the gap here or the high end of the gap. So you're either looking at taking a trade short there, which negates the monthly, weekly pivot, so daily pivot scenario, or you're taking a short there, which still brings it into play because there could be a little spike. So, and look at this one over here as well, you know. So there is almost multiple gaps in this one area. There's the low end of that gap. There's the higher end of that gap. So there's probably a price point around about 74.10, which is currently 0.5%. Oh no, it's more than that. 74.10s. It's almost 1% higher than where we are now on FTSE 100 prices. So lots to digest, mate.
At this whole bunch, isn't it? Really is a whole bunch.
At this stage, I don't think it's that safe. BP's still not open. I mean, geez, I was excited this morning. I was licking my lips last night going, BP out of Rosneft.
I know what I'm doing wrong, yes.
Yeah, they're going to get caned when we open up. I'm selling the FTSE. And again, you know, this is good fortune. The FTSE gave me an opportunity at 10 to the open, and I don't like to trade before the open, but it comes up to this point, so I sold it, and I closed the position down here. And as I say, that's a just over a 0.5% move on the FTSE in 5 minutes. You know, pretty much 5-10 minutes. Now, because that profit's in the bank, do I want to get involved in a market which now looks a bit confused, and with BP closing? Probably not, mate. I mean, I don't know how you feel about the market right now, but you know, if I look at the other information, look at gold. Gold's coming down. The VIX coming down. This is not suggestive of a market which is about to, implode, if you like, and just tank. So with those factors in play, then you start to say, well, there's still a long in this market, you know, and particularly with the pariah, if you like, in BP not even open. I'm going to look into why that's how they can get away with that. You know, BP obviously stopped trading for the day, haven't they? I mean, I don't know whether they open up later.
Well,
later on.
is there a chance it was traded outside of hours?
Well, the futures would have been probably. I mean, this is the thing about the internals of the market, isn't it? We know what we need to know to make money, but there's stuff going on way beneath, any of that. It's a bit like, I know how to grow flower. You know how to grow bamboo. Where you get the correct soil, you get the correct weather environment, all that stuff. But there's stuff going on even deeper down in the earth, which is possibly even affecting how that soil reacts to the sun
and above in the sky.
And above, exactly. Yeah.
There's no rain. There's no sun. Bloody hell! They just sent me a blizzard. What do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. So you know that stuff. All right. Okay. BP's opened up 6.8% down on the open, near 7% down on the open of BP. How that's affected the FTSE. So far actually, it's probably going to drop a little bit here, but BP, I can't see how BP recovers from this. I said between 5 and 10% drop. It's at 7%, so right in between the two. And I would be surprised if BP stays at 7%. I think it's going lower today. But so far, actually, considering that's now opened up at 7% lower, I'm quite surprised at the reaction of the FTSE. And as I say, mate, when you see VIX down, gold down, you start to wonder whether, and probably dollar up as well. Dollar up would suggest that those bond yields might be pushing a little bit, which means that the bond is the bond price is probably dropping a little bit. That is not risk off. In fact, let's check the dollar yen as well.
It could also mean that there are a lot of Russians buying dollars.
Yeah, well, again, mate, this is where we start to go. There's parts of this market that we are not going to understand. So let's trade what we do understand, and everything else we don't understand. If there's a red flag, let's just avoid it. But you look at the dollar yen, pretty good right now. It's look on the hourly, pretty good, doesn't it? It doesn't look too dangerous at all.
It is a buy on the weekly game changer bars as well.
Yeah. So the initial shock that we saw that really manifested itself quite nicely with the Nasdaq. The initial shock that we saw when we heard that Putin had actually gone into the Ukraine, got into Ukraine, saw this, but the bounce back has been pretty impressive. We end the week last week on the Nasdaq with a pretty nice looking bar here. Look at that.
Yeah, I had that falling off the planet, but it didn't close below the neckline. Interestingly, below it, but didn't close below it.
No, so this is I don't know where every neckline's in a slightly different place. I think mine will be somewhere around about here. Ooh. Oh, it's right on it, mate. It's right on it. I mean, I don't know where your neckline is, because the thing with this,
the second low you've got there is my neckline.
This one here.
Joining. No.
This one here.
The green doji.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with that actually. Sorry, that's the same. Yeah, I was forgetting that one. Yeah, that's my neckline too, and it did poke its nose below that. So that was around about at 13,550, let's call it. It's currently now at near 14,000. So looks like the Nasdaq's going to try and get up here. The pattern looks negative though. This is going to give us a downward sloping. To me. Yeah, so probably we would do this. That's what I would do at this point, which means it probably won't get to the monthly pivot on that fact. And if you look across here, it looks like there's a little horizontal line here too. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? 14,750. I'd be looking at the shorts in the Nasdaq to come back in again.
If you move that horizontal line down to the low of that little doji bar, there, that might be a spot too. Yeah,
that'll take a few weeks to get down there.
There's a zone. There's a zone in there somewhere.
Yeah. Messy.
But of course, if it takes out the right shoulder, then we're shaking our heads, or I'm shaking my head anyway, if that's the case. Yeah. So BP recovering actually at 4%. So let's see where that ends up on the day. I can't see that surviving too well. I think, if that price is moved up, it's probably going to be sold off again. You don't lose a contract like that and have a good day in the market, even though I think most people would argue 4% is pretty bad. I wonder what's next, mate. The next driver. I mean, we know now that the market went risk off instantly, as you would expect, with the announcement, and then rebounded with interest on Biden's speech, perhaps.
Yeah.
And now, what's next? What drives it now? Is it Putin going for nuclear weapons, which is apparently what I read not long ago? He's put nuclear on full alert. That doesn't sound fantastic to me.
No.
Is that the next step?
Well, do you know what? This is where the dynamic starts to get really interesting to my mind. So this is what I'm looking at now, because we've just seen the Russian central bank raise interest rates by 20%. Now this is where I think it starts to get interesting. If we look for these numbers won't be of a great deal of interest at all, but this is where I think we're starting to get interesting. On Wednesday, what is Governor Powell? What's Chair Powell going to say? What can he possibly say? Will he say interest rate hikes can't get aggressive at this stage? If he does, that's probably going to be good for the market. And this is where the dynamic starts to become really convoluted, because you would think going and opening up a global conflict would drive markets down, but not so if you get that extra support. Now, the drivers that we saw before this were because the central bank were raising interest rates, and then liquidity starts to dry up. Businesses potentially don't have as much to go and invest, and the borrowing costs that they used to have were lower. Now they're about to go higher. That all of a sudden starts to choke the economy. So that drives equities down. Now, does this new thing actually start to play into the hands again of the doves? Is the central bank going to have to get more dovish rather than its initial hawkish stance? Because now there's this geopolitical threat that they don't really know which way it's going to go. Or do they hold firm? I mean, Russia raising interest rates by 20%. That suggests that there is inflation in that country, which is just out of control. And
that's bank interest rates, by the way, isn't it?
That's bank interest rates.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the prime interest rate. Yeah.
Yes. That's true. That is true. But things are going to get expensive. Things are going to get hurt by inflation in Russia. And I think that's already started to happen. But oil continuing to go up like this, that's going to continue to compound the problem in the rest of the world, because energy was 50% of that inflation story. So that's going to continue high. So can central banks now flip? Probably not. So I think it now becomes about this. I don't know whether it is about whether Putin's going to do anything with nuclear warheads at this stage. This is so close, whether the US starts to raise interest rates or not, that I think that very, very soon, at least, the all eyes are going to be on what will the Fed actually do after all their statements. I'm just looking for when it is they are. So you got ECB mentioning it on the 10th of March. What will they do? Will they be able to go on a hiking cycle? Probably not. You think? I mean, they're going to get affected more than anybody else.
Oh, there's that terrible thing, daylight saving. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, daylight saving, that shouldn't help either. 16th of March. So we're looking at, nearly 2 weeks. So the next 2 weeks are going to be fascinating. And I would say volatility has got to start picking up over the next few weeks. So,
and of course, we're going to have a whole bunch of unscheduled statements, of course, from people like Biden, defense secretaries.
Yes.
A lot of propaganda coming out of all over the place. It's not going to be an easy path. I don't believe, anyway. So you asked me before what I think of the market at the moment. I think it's potentially great opportunities, but timing has to be absolutely spot on. And that's the challenge that I think we've got at the moment.
Yeah,
is getting that timing spot on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's it might be just one of those things that that you just find the high and the low, and you trade the high and the low. You know, I mean, it's not everybody's flavor, but I mean, where do you put stops in that environment? It's difficult, isn't it? But are you going to? Are you genuinely
especially with the size of the candles that you've got? You know,
Yeah,
the lows and the highs are 120 pips away on the 30-minute chart.
2 gaps in 3 days is highly irregular. Highly irregular. You know, so there is. So
it's really difficult to identify what your risk is going to be. I think that's the challenge also. You know, normally, if you're trading candles, for instance, you've got a maybe a 20, 30 pip stop under normal conditions on a 30-minute chart, or maybe even a 4-hour chart. But suddenly you're faced with a candle at 130 pips. What are you going to do? How do you identify where your risk is going to be?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree, mate. I can't see the market ultimately going higher. I mean, that's the. Are we going to make fresh highs here? I'd say probably not. So I still think that pushes to the upside are selling opportunities. You know, I don't see one. I don't see a really safe one just yet with the FTSE, but it is getting to that point. I think I'm gonna take a punt on the FTSE at one point here and look to sell it off. Maybe right on that monthly pivot area, because that looks like where the gap is just slightly higher. We established, didn't we, just here? So somewhere around about there, I'll be looking at the short.
Is George in yet?
I don't know. Is George with us today? Have we heard anything?
I cannot see.
These are the sort of situations that just completely confound people, aren't they? You know, you sort of like you think you've got something, you have a setup, and then all of a sudden it just gets kind of swept aside with with something else, and you think, I don't understand these markets. I don't get it. Why is it doing that? And I think what you have to recognize if you're new to this is that these points in time happen for everyone. You just don't understand what's going on. If you dig around for long enough, you'll find out why. He sent a video. He sent a video.
He sent a video?
Yeah, on the scoop on the Skype group chat.
Okay. I haven't got Skype open. Have you got Skype open?
I'm just about looking now, mate.
Anyway, further, whilst you're looking for that conversation, I don't think you should be scared of this market. You should just be very, very cautious of it.
Yeah,
I think the opportunities are going to be there, and I think you can play your normal game, if you like. You can play your normal system of trading, but I would certainly counsel that you get some profit in the bank very, very quickly, because the chances of staying in the same direction for a period of time are reduced unless something happens, like an announcement that we've just been talking about. I think that is probably the way I'll be treating it anyway. And if I do go into the market, it probably won't be at full risk. I've still got a trade going short Euro Yen. I think that is my safe haven play. However, I've taken further profit on that today. Those of you who are following that one, I've moved my stop loss to 129.87, I think it was.
I've got YouTube open. I've got Skype open, mate. There's a 6-minute video. I mean, I don't know.
Is it on YouTube?
It's not on YouTube. It's on Skype. Let's ask the guys in the room though. Do you want us to play a video? I'm not sure whether this is a format for videos. Really, it's not. It doesn't seem very, very trading buddies to me.
No, it's not really. It's not really able to. What's the word I'm looking for? Interact. That's the word I'm looking for.
Not able to interact. But if the guys in the room want,
I'm thinking if George has gone to the trouble to record it, we probably should play it.
We should probably play it. Yeah. You're probably right. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's play it. And if anybody doesn't want to hear it for whatever reason, then
go and get a cup of coffee.
You can go and get a cup of coffee. That's a good idea. It is on YouTube.
Do you know how to play it?
I would say I would probably be able to figure it out. Let's see. Let's do
when you share screen, don't forget to use the sound button.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me stop share there, and I'm going to start share again. I can find out where you are.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. You were you were there all the time.
Never moved.
Right. Let's see if this works.
Hey, good morning, my trading buddies, Jeff and Ash. I'm working on some things. I won't be able to make it today, but I really want to participate.
I'll be back. 2 minutes.
So I thought, let me just share my screen, and we can just quickly show you what's happening in the market. It's the end of the month. Today, as it is, I have nothing on my watch list, and I think from the fundamentals, you might have even started discussing this. The price action of the last couple of days has really been interesting, driven by the fundamentals that I think we all catching up with, and I'm not very good at them, so I'm going to stick to price action. Now, if you ever look at Friday's candle on the euro versus the dollar inside candle, okay? Now, I look for inside patterns. And if I got an inside pattern today to be perfect breakout mode in the direction of the candle. So if today had been an inside bull candle, then I'll be looking to go long. If it had been an inside bear candle, a high test candle closing near its low, looking to go short. But this gap down is just really change the structure of the market. That the only thing I can do is wait. I mean, market gap down and it's pulling back into the inside candle, which is Friday's candle, coming off a level of support. So you could say logical, that makes sense that we come off a level of support. But the gap down itself presents problems, so it is best to wait. Now, whether this had happened end of the month, whether there's a war or not, when that happens, I don't get into that market. Gold, we have spoken ad nauseum about this being a sell zone for gold, but this candle here, this outside candle, has just changed the structure of the market, because we now have a huge trading range in which the market is trading. But what I look at, which is interesting, if we break above the top of this trading range, so I have my feet drawn above that, the goal for the bulls will be to create or challenge this high, the all-time high that I have on my particular chart. That will be the goal where the bulls want to go. If the bears break beneath that trading range low, then they really want to clear all the lows of the year and come up with a new low, and then gold is just going to sell off. So what would you do with this market? Again, my problem is inside would have been fantastic. This is an inside candle, or Friday, if we had an inside candle today would be good, but the gap up creates problems. So I want to just wait and see how the day plays out. This just really goes across all the markets. Hang Seng 50, very interesting, inside candle again, gap down. And we are at a level of support. All this clusters low, red line, the low of the previous day. We are at the low of, let me just pop in my monthly chart so you can have a look at that. So we're talking about this particular area here, area of support, which also corresponds, if you see this is December 21. There's also another line in there, which is the low of last year. So very strong level of support, the low of last year. That's presently where we are. So low of last year, level of support, and market coming off that, yes, but there absolutely is no clarity. We had a gap down, then with an inside candle, and then again with another gap down. So best to wait for clarity, wait for things that we can recognize, things that we can trade. UK 100, I'm going to look at that huge candle. If the bulls were strong, then we would have follow through, right? Just to test those highs. But again, a gap down creating an inside candle. We need to wait and see what the new month shows us. UK 100, same kind of thing. Now, what's interesting about the UK 100, I was looking at it earlier on. If the market trades all the way down here, okay, and creates a double bottom, then you can start to say, okay, bulls were strong, we have a double bottom, and maybe let's see if we get a reversal pattern. But I'm not sure if you want to do that today with everything that the market is showing. So remember, red news to try and stay out of the market, but we're in a war situation. So the whole market is red news. So we got to trade but we must trade with caution. So you know, the interesting thing about the American markets, I can come back later on and see the time that the US markets should be opening to see if there's anything that's happened for me to start looking for entries. But having said that, it's the end of the month, so there really is no need to be trying to take any trades, and I generally tend to stay away. Nikkei 225, same structure coming off level of support. Bulls are strong, but again, gap down, so problems in the market. The only market that is showing some reasonable price structure is Bitcoin. I mean, have a look at yesterday, a big sell-off coming off the 20 EMA. See all the tails on top. That's selling price action. So as far as Bitcoin is concerned, if you're tracking that, then it might be worthwhile. You know what you would be doing, what I would be doing. If I put my fib retracement, there's a 50% level there. Midpoint of yesterday's trade range, guys, to a 24/7. So we're exactly at the midpoint. So if I get a reversal setup in there, then that would be worthwhile to take and see if we break beneath that level. So I thought I'll just leave that with you guys. Sorry I couldn't be with you, but we will catch up again next week. And thank you for the opportunity. Jeff, Ash, we'll talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Good, George. Happy days.
I'll tell you what, that was very good actually, mate, wasn't it? I think if George wants to do a video every week, I'd be quite happy with that. It's probably better for George.
I need to see that Bitcoin chart again.
Oh yeah. Well, I can bring us up a Bitcoin chart.
I'll point something out to you.
Let me get it over here. So he probably likes it because I'm not asking him loads of questions while he's talking about his chart. So it's probably quite good.
Maybe we're talking about fundamentals and George's. Forget it.
Yeah. Right. Let me bring this up. I don't know why I can't make this bigger, but let's do it like this anyway. I haven't got TradingView anymore.
Oh, cheers, Marlon. I just got your message about playing the video. Ash did it. All good.
Right. Okay. So let me share over here. Screen 2.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had PB in the room.
Yeah.
And he asked me what I thought of the Bitcoin chart. And I said to him, I'd want to see more information. I don't know anything about Bitcoin, so I really didn't want to trade at that point. But I'll show you what happened next.
Have you got any ideas? How can I make this a bit bigger? Because it's I've opened it up on CoinGecko, which is probably not the best place to do it. But why can't I make this nice and big?
I don't think I've got a Bitcoin chart available to me.
Well, I mean, you can get it on various places, mate. But because I could get it on. I suppose
I've got it on another computer, but I haven't got it on this computer.
I could have opened it up on my coin. Oh, I can't even think of the name of the company now. But I could open it up in a broker. But this is just quicker because you got to go through all the. You got to they send you a text, and then you got to kind of go. Put in your thing. So let's just open it up on here anyway. So we got. Do you want it on the weekly?
Yes, it is. I think it was the daily, mate.
On the daily, okay. This is it on the daily.
There you go. Okay, so if you go, go entitlement. Yeah, about there will do. Okay, you can see on the left of your screen, there's a little consolidation in there. Yep.
Yeah.
And the market sold off.
Just put it in there. Yeah.
So the market sold off after that, then went into retracement on that sell move.
This one here.
No. The first retracement after the drop on the left-hand side. Left-hand side
here?
of the chart. Yep.
Yeah.
Put in a little doji bar, followed by a selling bar.
Yeah.
Right there. And there was a trend line coming from up top there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he asked me what I thought of it, because it's a classic pattern of mine, right?
This trend line, oh gosh, difficult one, mate. I mean, I suppose this is an interesting trend line, because actually we've come down from here and we're just almost touching that trend line now from this point here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you look what happened next after that selling bar, the market took off.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. You're down where it took off, right down the bottom, off the bottom.
Oh,
you had the retracement.
Okay,
yeah. So you had the retracement, and then the market would be expecting, or technical analysts would be expecting, that to sell off from there because of the retracement.
Yeah.
But the little doji bar followed by the selling bar was the trigger for Paul. That's why he asked me the question, what I thought of it. And I said, I'd want to see more information. I don't think I could trade that there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yet look what happened. And if you come down from the highs, the sell-off, sell-off, retracement, what have you got? You've got exactly the same pattern.
Yeah, like here. So we're saying that this is the same as this.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting, mate. Interesting.
And a double bottom's being created, and this is a potential higher low.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting there is that I've got no idea how Bitcoin will react to the current fundamental situation that we've got. That does potentially look like a buy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, I think, I suppose because I am looking at the fundamental aspect of it, I still think there's some downward prices.
Well, how can you not?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a risk on currency, if you like. And the market is definitely risk. Well, I mean, I say it's definitely risk off. It's
well, it was on Thursday. I'm not sure about Friday.
But if we think about, if this stuff is about stacking up information about what's going to happen to companies' profit lines, which is really what we're sort of asking, they're going to get affected. They're going to get affected by the situation with higher inflation, and they're going to get affected by the reaction of the central banks globally as well. So I can't see how, when companies release their profits over the course of this year, how they're going to be able to beat what they were before. So if the markets, I mean, it might not be that.
Well,
extreme.
there'll be sectors, of course, that can do that, because it's an ill wind that blows no good. So some sectors will be doing far better than others.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not sure which sectors they are, frankly, but the gardening section, for instance, the hardware section, the Home Depots and the Bunnings of the world would be, they're just having cracker 2 years of profit.
Well, I can't honestly see how the markets could. I can't see how we're not going to get a recession. There's got to be a choke in GDP. I would have thought, so in GDP, in gross domestic product, the output, that there would, I would have thought there will be a choke in that, either created by the central bank or created by the conflict. So the fact that the market is holding on and at levels, and it's managing to stay at sort of like these elevated levels, it surprises me in a way, but we don't know, why that's happening. And really, I would be more interested in looking now over the longer term rather than over the day-to-day period, because the longer term is the only way you get clarity. But on the day-to-day, when the market's going up, day-to-day, you're just basically sort of going in the same direction. But right now, there's huge confusion. Is the market kind of going up or is it going down? That's what the charts are telling us, aren't they? That the market just doesn't know which way is best to go. Are they going to get a bargain when it tanks to the downside, so they buy it up again, or is that actually still expensive? And really, I think this brings us on to the point of what time frame? Look, I mean, look at the FTSE now. It's in this range, and this range looks quite tight. You know, we're on a 15-minute chart. The range looks quite tight, but that is from top to bottom. That's a 1% move in the FTSE 100, which is, you know, that's a pretty decent move. And it's happening over very, very short periods, really. You know, this is, as I say,
and look at the pattern that's emerging. It's a broadening pattern, right? And that's telling you exactly what you're just speaking about.
Yeah.
No, just the recent, you know, the daily.
Absolutely, yeah.
Inside the day.
We have this inside the day. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, actually, maybe not a broadening pattern. It looks like a falling wedge, which is.
I was discounting the first couple of hours there, so I was just going.
Oh yeah, you're looking at that. Oh yeah, maybe a little channel. I don't know, but
yeah, I was looking from the top of that low.
Yeah.
Like no, bring it right down. Bring the top one right down.
Down here.
Yep, keep coming.
Oh, here.
Keep coming. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, makes it tough. I mean, I think what we should be doing now is starting to flip. Oh gosh, that's got rid of all my templates, and I don't know why. Okay, let's get rid of this a second. Get rid of this. And get rid of this and start looking at these. Because we are, today, it's the end of the month, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we should be really sort of like, what's happened, you know, what's going on now at the end of the month? And this is, well, as George put it, it's an outside bar. You know, it's kind of gone above the previous high. It's gone below the previous low. That looks kind of negative, you know, and we're at resistance. At this high end here at resistance. I think if this market closes below this resistance point, it's going to start getting interesting. And I suppose, I mean, I don't know whether this would be accurate, mate, but would you want to see something like this, where if it doesn't close below, there's still a chance we go lower by going below it in March, coming back again during April?
Yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah, and then suggesting that there may well be an opportunity to go short here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I suppose maybe we're looking at that. I suppose right now, actually, it's holding support. You know, the way that the monthly bar is looking, this is a hold of support. So if it holds that support, then there's a suggestion that the market next month currently is going in this direction if we just purely take support and resistance and forget the actual candle. But if we, you know, the price point today,
and I can't get my head around that.
No, difficult one, isn't it? Difficult one. But maybe next month it becomes clearer, and I think it probably will because of the central bank involvement. You know, from here on in. So central banks might well drive this market down during March, up again during April, and then maybe we do see that move to the downside throughout the tail end of the year. You know, when profits are when companies are starting to report again in the next earnings season. What does the NASDAQ look like? I mean, that's pretty ugly, isn't it? I mean, that's got to get there. That's a break of support. You know, that is now suggesting that during March, if the NASDAQ pushes up here, if the NASDAQ does this during March, then we'd potentially then be looking for the NASDAQ to start dropping down during April.
Great. I'm not sure it can hang on that long, however, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, this is the thing. I mean, this is the main overview. But I'll be like you. I'll be taking opportunities on the day when they arrive, or if they arrive. Gold. I mean, that looks pretty ugly to me, mate. Over the month.
Still seeing that double top, mate. I can't not see it. I can't not see it.
Didn't quite get there, but look at that.
That's a massive double top.
Yeah.
M topping pattern.
That closes below that level. That's actually going to look pretty negative for gold, isn't it?
Yep, sure is.
Which again is a surprise. And finally, let's look at the S&P. Different story than the Nasdaq. Oh, well, here we go. It's just updating now. But actually, it is a different story to the Nasdaq because the S&P manages to hold there. That's still looking like the pattern's still long. It's still bullish. This structure here hasn't been broken.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still looking okay for some upside during the next month. And the dollar. Let's have a look at the dollar. What's that suggesting to us? Dollar index. Well, let's see if we can draw some upper lines.
Also
here.
a big double top.
That was a bit messy.
I mean, that's what's so frustrating at the moment for mine, in that all of these charts have big technical indicators, if you like, I'll put it that way. Yet the situation, the fundamental situation, is really tugging at me, saying I just can't listen to those technical scenarios right now.
Yeah,
and that's really not the way I trade, you know.
Oh, FTSE's really started to.
This is not normal.
Yeah, FTSE's starting to pick up a bit of pace to the downside now, back at the lower end of the pattern there. So the FTSE looks like it is going to have a bit of a down day, but BP down to 6% down. So I mean, it might well still stay in this range, but as I say, difficult one really because of the way that gold's starting to get a bit of a rally. I think it could be one of those days that is just not quite sure what it's going to do. I don't think we get a real big tank.
I've got to look at those, and it being the end of the month, and you think, okay, there's going to be a lot of institutional traders trying to close positions. But what if they've got caught on the long side of the S&P?
Yeah.
What if they've got caught on the long side of gold? What if they've got caught on the long side of just about anything that took off on Friday?
Yeah,
on Wednesday, Thursday, sorry.
Yeah.
Now they're in all sorts. What are they doing?
Absolutely right. Yeah. So what you're talking about is them getting caught up here. I mean, somebody's up here, aren't they?
Yep. Absolutely.
This is starting to weaken now. So FTSE does look like it's going to struggle. Shell actually is down. So if we look at WTI as well, WTI after the initial boost to the upside and look gap down there, that's suggesting that we are going to get a bit lower with the oil as well. And if you look at this on the monthly, does this end up closing down around about $90 a barrel, which is actually going to look pretty negative? It's currently at 95. So could it drop $5 by the end of the day? Maybe. Because the thing, I suppose, the other thing is that not only is this about the potential for war, it's also about the potential for negotiation. Because at some point it's going to stop. I think it's probably going to be a lot longer than a week, this thing, because such huge personalities and companies and characters are involved in it. But every day there's a new message, there's new messaging. Putin's going to be sort of putting his nukes on high alert. Putin's going to meet the Ukrainian president. NATO starts to put troops up into Ukraine. There's almost a different development all the time, and some of those developments will look good, and some of those developments will look negative. So it
depends a lot on where that information comes from. I mean, if it comes from a newsprint or a tweet, or who knows the validity of all that. So it's not an easy task. It really is not.
No, totally agree.
And I fully expect that the market is not going to go in one direction anytime soon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, still going to see a lot of up and back.
Looking pretty negative,
and that's
right now.
That's why I say get some money in the bank quickly if you do get into a position.
Yeah. And,
because where you put your stops is the issue. Identifying that risk is really tough when you've got big candles.
Yeah, totally agree. I totally agree. Is there anything else that you are looking at on the chart?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at a whole bunch of things. We haven't even got into that.
No.
Let's go there for a bit. But like I said, and I didn't even record a preview this morning. I just looked at the charts and I go, oh, really? This is not where I want to be. Yet. Swissie yen, which I tried to trade last week and was the only unsuccessful trade. And I, you know, you look back and say, what the hell am I doing trading into resistance anyway? But I really thought we had a strong chance here of getting ahead of the game in terms of the war situation. But nothing's changed. We're still going sideways in a hurry. That said, if we could clear out of this area and find back into it and retest the top of it, then I'll look to go short. Pound Kiwi is now interesting for me. I'm looking at the monthly chart. The monthly chart closes today, and this is what you want to see. The issue here is trading that. Happy to trade a candle about a third of its size, but the size of this candle is 700 pips. And I'm only going to get probably 1,500, maybe 2,000 tops out of it, I believe, because my target is now reduced. I haven't even got that. So the target's got to be here, right? You could kind of think up here in the longer term, 79 years of age by the time it gets there, I should imagine. So that the size of that bar is a little bit restrictive. That said, if we drill down and find reason to go long in this area, then I think that's wise. I think we've got potential for this to be a right shoulder as well. Left here, head here, right here perhaps. So I may look to pick that up in this area. And I think it's a strong area to trade from. And price is going to struggle to maintain that trajectory, I believe. Can the pound rally again, as it has done? It really had a bad day on Friday, there's no question.
Yeah.
Maybe that just does give this a buying opportunity. I've actually been waiting for that to happen. But trading it on the monthly now is probably not a good reward to risk scenario. It's not that dusty, I suppose, but I'll be trying to pick it up on something a bit smaller than that. Aussie Kiwi. Yeah, I'm still waiting for a lower high here. I like the three little Indians approach, where we've had fake out, fake out, fake out. And I'm looking for a lower high here to drive it back below these lows and maybe hit that line. That'll be the target for sure. So, you know, a lower high here on a daily chart looks good. Euro yen we know about, still in that, have moved my stop down. Look, this is either going to go or I'm going to get stopped out. I don't have any qualms about that because we've got a fair amount in the bank from it. The only reason I've moved it to here is because all the pivots are protecting me. And if I'm not sure the pivots are in play, frankly, if we get a statement from the likes of Biden or the likes of Putin, no stops are going to be in play. They're not going to be safe. Wherever your stops are, they're not going to be safe unless they're right up here somewhere, right? So that's why I'm just going to keep moving down with the market. If we get taken out, we'll look for another opportunity. Simple as that. But that's what I'm advocating. If as you move down, just take some more profit, get something in the bank, because at some stage this is just going to go wild, and you're going to get stopped out, I believe. What else am I looking at? All of these that have structures are still in play to me. Aussie Swissie is another beauty. We've got an ascending triangle here, and we cannot, for love nor money, get through there. And this being a risk on currency versus a risk off currency is quite interesting. As you can see, it's down one day, up the next, and that makes it tough. But if it comes back into this range and gives me a lower high, then I can trade it down to here. But again, taking profit very quickly. If I get a big bar similar to that, I can't trade it. So I need something even a little bit smaller than that would be good, sitting over here. Pound yen.
Very difficult to define those lines, isn't it, mate? When you kind of get the price action, which is quite happy to close outside those zones, like Friday, for example. Very difficult to ascertain those levels.
Look, it is, and that's what I was saying before. Where is your risk going to be? If you were trading that candle, say you want to trade this candle long, you'd enter there. Where's your stop going?
Sure.
You're going to trade the candle. You're going to trade the top of the range. You're going to trade this high. Are you going to be more conservative? And which low are you going to use? It's really an assignment trying to gauge the risk, the proper risk that you should be taking. And that's,
I mean, 10 more days inside this this pattern. That's going to look like a pretty explosive move. It's on its way.
Yeah, and like I say, risk on currency versus a risk off currency. Once it happens, and the market does determine which sentiment it really wants to have, then yes, this will move substantially. Yeah. You know, if I'm guessing, I'm going to say it's going to continue lower, but this ending triangle maybe suggests that there's some more buying in. Tough assignment, really is a tough assignment.
Yeah.
Pound yen, not so much. Aussie yen, as always, the real indicator of market sentiment for mine in terms of currency pairs. There's reason to think that this can break higher, but I can't possibly trade this higher because of the situation. How can I trade a risk on currency long at the moment? I can't. I just can't get it into my head. It doesn't make sense to me until the situation resolves itself. So I've got to be looking downside here. False break here makes perfect sense to me to trade it short. In terms of the bigger picture on this, not easy, because we do have an inverted head and shoulders here, and potentially this is a higher low. This could go, but trading it doesn't make sense to me. Euro versus the dollar. We had a look at the dollar index before, and again, fundamental. You can't ignore the fundamentals, and you really can't ignore this either until it breaks to the low side. We've been following this for some time, suggesting that bouncing off the top gives us and there's a beautiful entry right there, that candle right there, perfect. We took that, right? We took it on a smaller time frame, on the 4 hour, and unfortunately this PRICK of a bar here took me out after I got my first profit. Had I put my stop or kept my stop here instead of trailing it, we would still have been in that trade to the bottom. So what I've said about taking profits early and making yourself safe in the market, sometimes it is the wrong play. And on this occasion it was. And, you know, I was pretty gutted with this because I just could not see this going anywhere but down here. Anyway.
It's interesting. I'm shocked in a way that the euro has managed to get any kind of support. You know, it's holding its level against the pound as well, a very low base. And I guess that's,
you know, I think we say this year in year out. It's so resilient for whatever reason. Yeah. It seems to be copying the biggest hiding of all time, and yet suddenly, bang, it'll rally.
Yeah.
But sorry, you get going with your point.
You know, it seems like a basket case. You know, the currency and the project seems like a bit of a basket case, and they're going to get affected more than any other region by a conflict, and yet it holds on. You know, it's as you say, mate. It's so unbelievably resilient. Does that ever change? I don't know. Is it just one of those kind of is it a Rocky Balboa, which is always the underdog and always manages to kind of win out in the end?
Yep, gets punched to hell.
Yeah,
and then climbs off the canvas, so to speak. Absolutely. Yeah. The pound. I thought the pound today was actually, and I considered this trading the breakout, and the reason I haven't is still unknown to me, because it does look like a breakout scenario. It really does.
Yeah.
The problem that I have is if we see this sort of stuff go on, then you're in a whole world of SH1T. But it does look breakout material to me today. It does. But end of month, I don't know. I just don't know. That's probably what's stopping me. Tomorrow's a new day.
I wonder whether, this is tomorrow's not only a new day, is it? It's also a new month, and I suppose that does make things a little bit trickier.
Yep. Look, I'd like to be on the downside of the Aussie come 2:30 my time tomorrow, because I can't imagine the Aussie will rally if the RBA does as expected and leaves their interest rate at 0.1% when just about every other central bank, well, that's not true. When other central banks are very, very much in a rate hike mode.
Yeah.
Yet this chart to me, with that big double bottom and higher low here, does look like it wants to go higher. Yet my structure, well, it's still got room to go higher. That's the issue I've got. Had we hit the top of this range, or maybe even gone through it and come back under it, then I'd be an absolute bear. But the thing that has confused me here is this double bottom, and it's at a very, very strong level as well. That's a weekly chart I'm looking at.
Yeah,
so it has good form in this area. It's got resistance through here, form of support, resistance, 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 support, and we've bounced off. So it's really tough to me to say I want to go short here. Looking at the chart, I've got to give this a chance to get up here. Maybe the RBA does give me that opportunity. Maybe they do start to think, okay, the pressure is on, everyone else is going. We may think about it before 2024, which is still there, what they've been singing. So Aussie's tough, but I will be looking at it. If we can rally up to here and find a false break scenario after the RBA, I think this may well be something that I'll follow through the week. Look, there are a stack of game changer bars, Ash. I'll quickly go through them. Dollar Yen, we spoke about earlier. It was one. The weekly game changer is suggesting buying. Almost impossible for me to trade this here. False break, false break, false break, double top, trading straight into it. Not for me. Yes, I can see why the market would go long the yen. Still, the market goes completely risk off. So I can see why, but I can't bring myself to trade it. Dollar Swiss is exactly the same. No surprise there. Dollar CAD's going the opposite direction, interestingly. Yet the week before that, it was showing me a buy. That kind of started to go, and now it's showing me a sell. Monthly pivot, which won't be there tomorrow, of course. Where will it go? Probably up to here somewhere. So that might be interesting. Have a look at that tomorrow on the daily chart. That's suggesting downside to me. Now, with the oil scenario, flip-flop. Don't know. We've also got an inverted head and shoulders here. We've been unable to get through that neckline, and this is a lower high based on a double top there. So this one's more interesting to me than pretty much anything else. But I'm also thinking dollar strength. So like I say, it's not easy. I don't want to take any of these trades at the moment. There's a big one for you. Like I said, where do you put your risk? If you're going to go short here, you're going to put your risk up here. Your risk to reward then becomes pretty ordinary because you're trading straight into support here. That one's not for me either. But that said, if we were to climb our way back to the pivots, then that does become interesting. So maybe smaller time frames. What's that one? Pound CAD. I think I'm a bit of a fan for pound CAD short, I've got to say too, from a bias point of view. Only a couple more to go, and we'll leave. I've got a meeting too very shortly. I've got to get into. Game changer bar to the high side. You could probably think about that one. You'd have to take some profit here, of course. That is Euro Swissy. Not for me. Cad Yen, another strong game changer bar to the upside. You're trading straight into resistance. This is how tough this is. Cad Swiss, look at that line there. Wow. That's like 10 tin soldiers in a row. And, you know, why now? Why now is it going to break through there? Tough to say, really tough to say. And lastly, Aussie Kiwi. Game changer bar to the downside last week, game changer bar to the upside this week, bouncing off that level there. I thought this was the trade of the week last week, and it started going in that direction, yet here we are again, the same thing. I'm still watching this for downside, I've got to say. In particular, if the Aussie, if the RBA tomorrow stay solid on their no, we're not raising interest rates anytime soon, then I think Aussie Kiwi is a sell for sure. Rain in Queensland. I'll say there's rain in Queensland, Gary, like bucket loads. I was talking to one of my bamboo guys up there today, and he said he had 750 mil in the last 3 days. That's double my annual rainfall, man. But and he didn't even get a half of what the others are getting. It's absolutely teeming down up there. Floods everywhere. Not good. I've got to go to a meeting, mate.
No problem, no problem. Well, let's wrap it up. Not too much conversation in the room today, so I don't know if people are a bit shell shocked by the markets right now. If you're not sure what to do, and you're trying to learn, just do something and put a very, very small amount on, because when you do something, you will get some kind of reaction from it. So staying on the sidelines for too long won't enable your progression. So particularly if you've got an educational account, then utilize the opportunity to try and learn something, try and do the right thing, and see what kind of reaction you get back from it. But in saying that, I think it is just one of those markets today which looks negative in some respects, but I wonder whether we just stay within these ranges today. I don't think this is a day that you're going to get breakouts on a daily chart. I think on intraday timeframes, you're probably going to get stuck in a range, look for the high, look for the low. And if you think that the market is overall negative, just sell the low, sell the high, forget looking at buying the low, because it does look a little bit tricky. I think it's fascinating that the stocks that are moving higher, banking sector, very, very weak today. Oil sector is very, very weak as well. But I see that some of the miners are actually doing pretty well today. So it really is a bit of a flip-flop market. Very little clarity today, and there are days that are a lot clearer. So don't sit on the sidelines too long. But I think today you would probably be justified. But don't get too much fear. Things will get clearer. I'm pretty sure of that. So we'll wrap it up there, mate.
Yep. What's that Canadian singer? Val? What's your name?
Val Brooks?
Dude, not Val. No, not Val. Can't think of his name. Redhead dude.
Don't know.
Pretty old these days. What's his bloody name? I better not start singing it. But he said one of his songs is Mama said there'll be days like this. You got him yet?
No, I'm
Brown-eyed girl. Brown-eyed girl's his biggest one, I think.
Oh, Van Morrison.
That's the one.
Oh,
Van
he's not
Morrison.
Val. He's not Val.
Well, it's close. I was only 2 letters out. I'm out of here.
Okay, mate. Nice one. Thanks for being my trading buddy, as always. Thank you for Marlin for looking after us. Thanks to the guys in the room. We will see you. You are welcome, Mexin. We will see you on Thursday, and we will have quiz and more chats about markets, and see if we can get just a bit more clarity on this.
Clarity.
Have a good week, guys.
Indeed, everyone have a good week. Slingshot, guys. We've got a meeting in about 25 minutes from now. Hope you can be there. If not, recording later. Have a great week ahead. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye for now.